Go. All right. Welcome back to the DSoG vlog. This is episode 5. I am Brooks. My in-game name is Campbell Hunt, and I'm joined here by our two co-hosts.
My name is Ken. My in-game name is Beckraj.
My name is Carlitos. My in-game name is DSoG Big Boy.
Every time. Can't keep ourselves together when he says that. All right.
Nope.
That's pretty hilarious. All right. Well, how's everyone doing? How was your weekends?
My weekend was good. My Monday was better because I didn't have to work. I didn't have to work at night tonight. I'm a server, and normally I work doubles, but for some reason they didn't schedule me for Monday night, so we're recording earlier than normal. I got the day drink. It was pretty good.
Dude, you should have called me.
Nice. That is always good.
I wasn't
Day
doing
drinking.
anything.
Oh, really? We went to Saltine, and then we went.
Anything ever.
We went to Saltine, and then we went to the library.
I don't do
I mean, all I
anything
do
else.
is like
Jeez, kid.
league-related things and drink.
All right. Well, Ken, how was your weekend?
Optic beat CLG, so pretty good. And then I got a haircut.
That was
Oh,
Yeah.
good. Well, I am off from school,
Mardi Gras
so
break.
I am at home, as you can tell by the different background than my usual. You can actually have good lighting. You can see my whole face. Yeah, I'm off from school for Mardi Gras, and it's a great holiday, and I love it because I get 3 days off from school. So
I
it's
miss those days.
but I know it's pretty awesome. But let's talk about this past weekend. We had, in my opinion at least,
It was a
some really
good
great
weekend.
games. I thought the games were good. Games were
Across the
super
board.
good.
Mhm.
On Saturday there was a lot of upsets.
4
which
out
made
of 5 upstates.
yes, which
upstairs.
which made the game super duper interesting. And then on Sunday, also really really good games. I think the teams are really just like kind of coming into their own,
Week 4.
and things are getting like everything. I feel like everyone's competitive
Well,
now. You know, I feel like
Everyone
no one's just like super
Except
far
Golden
behind.
Guardians, unless they're against CLG.
They did win. No,
Oh,
they
they
beat
oh, it was
100 Thieves,
okay.
dude.
Sorry, I
Yeah.
just always assume that who's ever losing to the bottom half of or whoever's the worst, it's probably CLG losing to them.
Just-
So
history.
yeah.
Yeah.
I want to point out, I think Kobe, one of the casters said this. He said, after 3 weeks is when it's time to perform. Basically, you've had, probably a week or two before the split, 3 weeks in split, and the meta's kind of developed. So you need to start producing results with your roster. It doesn't matter what team you are, top
Yeah.
or bottom. That's when it comes. And I was really impressed that the bottom parts of the league had good showings at this point, which makes
Yeah.
me happy that those organizations kind of know what they're doing. So
Yeah, no, it's good. I mean, it wasn't a perfect week for any of those teams. I mean, all of them won one game. I don't know if any of them won two. Maybe if you consider Clutch like a lower tier team, which I don't really. They won two. They won 2-0. So that's good for them. But let's jump into our first topic, which is going to be focused on Team
Wait,
Liquid.
Speaking
who-
of liquids, can we talk about what we're drinking tonight?
oh right.
Oh,
Go ahead.
please, yes.
Those of you in Louisiana, good old Abita Amber.
Always a good choice.
So one of my hobbies is mechanical keyboards, and I know this really good friend who lives in Wisconsin, and he sent me some New Glarus Serendipity, which is delicious as fuck.
It is
So
delicious.
thank you, Hoff, for the beer, and yeah, that's what I'm drinking. Brooks, what are you drinking?
I have some tea.
It's so anticlimactic.
This is
What kind of?
This is my favorite drink in the entire
What kind of
world.
tea?
Is
What kind of
a
tea?
cup of tea.
Give us all the deets.
This is some Twinings Irish breakfast tea because it was the only thing that my mom had. It's good. I like it. It's not my favorite, but it's pretty good. It's better than the Trader Joe's brand that I drink in Baton Rouge. So,
Okay.
So,
but let's jump into our first topic, which is about Team Liquid. This past weekend, they went 0-2. Not what you usually expect out of a roster of such caliber, but as a slight caveat, they were up against the two clearly best teams in the league in the form of Echo Fox and Cloud9. The Cloud9 game was a complete and total stomp. They shit on them. And then the Echo Fox game was a little bit closer, but I mean, Echo Fox was still ahead for the majority of the game. Like Team Liquid did not look good for most of the game. The only person that probably performed was Doublelift, and I mean, he always does a little bit. It's rare to see Doublelift be. I think Paul Belter's score was really bad, if I remember correctly.
maybe he looked good.
I'll
against
let you know.
C9. I just remember one of the games he stood out, and the rest of the team looked terrible.
Yeah. I don't think it was the C9 game. I think it was probably. I'll let you know. I'll tell you like right now. But
Well,
point
in-game score
is,
doesn't tell the story.
Yeah. There's a lot more.
yeah,
It's the early and mid game that I meant he looked better.
Stop.
but point being is that Team Liquid is a team that many people probably rated first or second for coming up into this split, and it's so really the question is like, is this team going to be capable in playoffs near the in the end of the split to beat teams like Echo Fox and C9, or do we think that Echo Fox and C9 are just that much better than them? Like let's kind of focus on that first, and then we'll answer some other questions. It's just like, what is holding this team back, I guess.
You want to take it?
Holding Team Liquid back? I think that I think it's their playstyle. Their playstyle is like, because they're playing, the weeks before they were playing like the fastest game possible. They were trying to stomp and just be dominant. When they come up against, better, I don't want to say better competition, but like competition that is more to their level, and they can't just win lane, win game kind of it, or just make one decisive play and that's the end of the game. That's when they start having problems, because their original plan didn't go the way they wanted it to, and so that now they need to think on the fly about what they need to do.
Yeah.
And so that, I think that's their problem, is they haven't had to do that, and so now that they are, they're gonna struggle.
Yeah. I think it's hard to say. I think they had an off weekend. I'm not saying that on another weekend where they are on, they would have won both games, but I don't think they would have lost both. I will still rank them above C9. Maybe even Fox. Yeah. I think they had an off weekend until I see the trends from this weekend continue. I'm not gonna be phased in how I see them ending the split. That said, there were some glaring weaknesses that they've kind of hinted at. Mostly the Ole Doublelift problem.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that.
Very disjointed. They were not on the same page. And they were against one of the best bot lanes in North America.
I think Sneaky and Smoothie are probably the best bot lane in North America right
Sven and
now.
Mithy
I think
best
Sven
in
and
the
my
Mithy's
West.
personal opinion.
better.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is Sven and Mithy best in the West?
Well, yeah, but I mean, just like that has
Yeah.
performed thus far.
Yeah,
I'm not
I would
saying that
say
they're
yes.
objectively
I
better,
would
but
agree.
I think so far Sneedy and
Right.
Smoothie have been better.
But the big problem I saw in the C9 game was Liquid just let Impact die. Like, they gave him no support, and
So they gave him the Dyrus treatment.
yeah, and C9 capitalized on this and just steamrolled Liquid. So
I actually think that Impact is a bit of a liability for
Really?
this team. So far through the split, he hasn't really shown up very much. And I know that Impact is kind of like that player that everyone points to and it says, he's not particularly great during the split, but he always shows up in playoffs. And as much as that is true, specifically for him, you really gotta wonder, like, eventually there's gonna be a playoffs where he just doesn't, Like, yeah, he's done it. He's done it twice. He did it both times with. Well, actually, he's done it really once. Actually, if we think about it, he did it with C9 in the spring,
and in
right?
the spring and in the summer.
No,
Before that,
no. In summer, they didn't make it
No.
past quarterfinals.
not last summer,
Okay, so you're talking
Yeah.
like 2 years ago.
because he was on C9
Okay.
for,
All right. Well, he did it then.
and he did it 2 out of 3.
Yeah.
And then
Okay. And then he
Right.
showed up in the gauntlet. He
So,
showed up in the gauntlet.
2.5.
So I'm not
out of
saying that.
3.5.
Yeah.
You know,
Sure. But, I mean, eventually there's going to be a time when Impact is probably not going to show up in the playoffs, and he's going to continue to look like he did in Split. And I'm wondering if that is now. Obviously, we still have a long time to get there, and he has a lot of time to ramp
I
back
also
up
think-
to, top die status that he
Also
always
think
has.
the meta isn't exactly in his wheelhouse right now.
I mean, Nars meta,
I mean, Nars meta,
but
but
he doesn't play it.
yeah, he doesn't. He hasn't really been playing it,
It's just weird.
and like
He did play it this weekend, actually.
true,
He did play
but
it.
also like I don't know. Has he ever really popped off on Gangplank?
He doesn't pop off.
Mm.
It's not
Yeah.
really how
But-
he does it.
Top die, like that's kind of popping off.
That was when he
Well, he's solo
It was-
kills.
Nar
You
one
know?
tricking through the playoffs.
This is true, but like my point is like I don't know. I feel like the meta is just not like he performs best on like Maokai, like super tanky.
Bring us Maokai and
Right.
Shen. His Shen.
Yeah, but is that like an excuse?
No,
though, for
I'm just
him?
saying. I'm
I
like
just don't
giving
know.
reasons as to why
Yeah.
it could
Yeah.
be the fact that he's underperforming right now. I'm not saying it's an excuse,
Mhm.
and like
Mhm.
all that stuff. But I'm just saying this is why I think he isn't performing the way he normally would.
Well, I think it's gonna take a little
Yeah.
time about the meta thing. Like everybody said that about Reignover last year, right? But he was also on Team Liquid.
Yeah.
So was it
A
the
lot
meta?
of it- a lot
or
of
was he
things
on
were
Team
said.
Liquid last year? And so we're
He was
starting
on
to
Team
see
Liquid.
that
When Team Liquid was
this
bad.
year with Reignover. Like, oh, is it actually the meta because CLG's not doing great, but when they are doing well, he looks well, and
Yeah.
so we're trying to figure that out. I think that's why I don't think of Liquid any differently this weekend than before. I still think they're the best team, but I'm skeptical about it. Like I'm gonna watch them, and if they continue down this path, so like yeah, the meta may not be fitting Impact, but if he continues to just outright underperform, much like this past weekend, then yeah, I think it's time to start questioning Impact.
Okay, I think that's fair.
Yeah. I also want to talk just a little bit about the Double Lift and Ole dynamic, because there was Avali did that interview with Ole where Ole was like kind of like Double Lift is kind of mean to me sometimes, and
Good old Ole.
like obviously you feel bad for Ole because he's like this like teddy bear of a person, you know what I mean? He like He just is like the nicest, most wholesome person like I've ever seen in my entire life, and that's what everyone says about him. So obviously it's true.
We'd love to be immortals.
And but also if you watch some of Team Liquid's content that is coming out, Double Lift is being Double Lift. He's being a very blunt person about how he feels the way that their practice has gone, how he feels that certain people have played, and I guess we have to take all of that information with a grain of salt because it's Double Lift, and we know that he can be very abrasive. But I mean, do we think? I can definitely see how that could impact the way that the team plays together. Do you guys think that could potentially be a problem for them if Double Lift is being
not so much
ass,
for
basically
the other three, but specifically for Ole, who struggles with confidence issues when he thinks his team is going to blame him? Because that was the difference between Spring and Summer Split Immortals, is that he was worried the rest of his team was going to flame him in Spring, and they did a lot of work to prove to Ole that they trusted him, and obviously the results were positive. That kind of worry that he has is reinforced by Double Lift, and I'm worried that it's going to negatively impact the whole team, especially since he's a very roaming support.
Yeah, I agree. But I think that's also kind of like Double Lift's. Like he doesn't. That's kind of Double Lift's personality. Like he's not meaning to be an ass, right? Like he just he's just very blunt. And
I think someone arrived, and the dogs also think someone arrived.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, it's something that's entirely speculative, and we don't know if any of this actually will affect the way that their team dynamic works at all. But I think it's something to definitely consider when we're looking at this team and how.
Move on to the next.
We got you.
And let's move on to the next thing. Sorry, my video cut out. This always happens at like 15 minutes. I don't know why. But let's move on to the next thing, which is we're going to talk about Febiven. So Clutch had a 2-0 weekend this past weekend against some pretty good teams. They beat TSM, and they beat who else did they beat? I can't remember the other one.
Optic.
They beat TSM and they beat Optic. Yes, this is true. So they looked. They weren't clean wins. I wouldn't say they weren't clean wins, but Febiven looked very good in both of the games. So let's just talk about him as a player. Him coming to North America. How does he rank against the other mid laners in the league? All of that good stuff.
Yeah, I would say Febiven. I've always been a big fan of Febiven, especially when it's on a Fnatic, even when he was on H2K. And I think he's doing really well on Clutch. I think that even in their losses, like they've had in the previous weeks, he was definitely one of their standout player. And like if you would say like, MVP for Clutch, I would say that's definitely Febiven. And I think like he's doing really well here in NA. I wouldn't put him up there with Pubelter and Jensen, but I would put him at about Bjergsen level right now. Which like for me being that huge TSM fan that I am, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think Clutch's wins have come when they play through Febiven, and their losses have come when they don't really play around him, which is kind of great that they have this superstar player, but bad because any team that can really shut him out can win.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at the Optic versus Clutch game, Optic was destroying that matchup, but they didn't shut Febiven down. And then they had a couple other, what I think are drafting issues that enabled Febiven specifically to take over the game and bring Clutch back into the game. So, again, really great to see that they have a player that can bring them back from the brink. But I don't know. I am not a huge Febiven fan. He was alright on Fnatic. I liked H2K when Yankos was on H2K. And I felt like they clashed and Febiven held Yankos back. So my loyalty to Yankos over my desire to see Febiven do well, I guess. I don't know.
Loyalty to anyone that's a good jungler.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Basically.
I feel like that.
Everyone else is holding.
Everyone holds jungles back. That's how it works.
Oh, okay.
Junglers would take over every single game if there weren't 4 other players on the field.
Okay.
Yeah. I think Febiven's played really, really
He's played
well.
very well.
He didn't die. I don't think he died
he
in that
was
Optic game. It was
4-0-6.
a long game. Yeah, it was a long game. And I mean, I think Clutch. I mean, this is a team that I've kind of said has a lot of potential, but like Lyra just kind of looks like garbage half the time. So I don't really know.
Yeah.
Literally half the time.
Lyra went from being like, Lyra went like. He last split he was like so damn good. The whole of last year he was just really, really good, and like I just don't know, he just doesn't look very good. Apollo and Hakuho are a solid, fifth level goodness bottom lane, and then Solo is he's just doing him. So like they really need someone to really step up and do that, and I think Febiven did that this past week, and I think he's really done that in all of their wins, and I hope that they can really keep relying on him to win them the game, because Apollo's going to do plenty of damage. He's going to do fine.
Apollo's just gonna be stealing
he's not going to be
blue buffs and barons and.
Yeah,
dragons.
dude, what was
Like,
that?
Oh my god, that
he stole like a dragon and a baron and like a red buff or something,
With-
right? Like
with just an Ezreal Q,
Yeah.
like
damn,
oh my god.
that's so much luck, dude. You can be so great, but that's luck.
Well,
Like it's just luck.
It's luck.
it's luck for him,
for him, yeah.
but it's luck that shouldn't exist.
Because if you can
You know, like,
smite
Slave
properly,
on the jungle.
When 2 people smite, there's a good bit of luck in that. It's a 50-50. Who sees the damage tick at the right time that they press smite. But when you lose to an ability that isn't a 4th hit on Jhin pre-level 9, I know it's very specific,
Yeah.
but that's when Jhin can outsmite at Dragon. Nunu,
or Cho'Gath.
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 But like, there are
Close
very
to that.
few things that a jungler should let go to chance, and yeah, lucky for Hakuho, Apollo, or Solo earlier, one of those clutch players. Lucky for Apollo that he got it,
Yeah.
because he shouldn't.
Well, I watched an interview with Travis, and Apollo basically said like his thought process was he knows that the jungler is going to smite at 1,000 health. I'm assuming this was level 18. I'm assuming they're like highest level. So he knew that they were going to smite at 1,000 health, and Apollo was just like, so I just threw out a Q as close as I could get to 1,000 health, and I got it. It's like pure luck. Like
I think a lot of,
basically.
but I don't think it falls just on Mike Young
Oh no.
specifically, because like it's an Ezreal Q. Someone could body block that.
Well,
Yeah.
also, depending on how damage is done, so like part of the deal with smiting is you have to predict the damage.
Yeah.
So at like 1080, or let's say it's going to do 1,000, at 1080, you have to assume that in that second that you
Someone's
press smite,
hit it.
somebody's going to do 80 damage.
Mm.
If your team stops doing damage and turns on the enemy team and you smite, you just lost a smite battle because your team turned away.
Yeah.
It's also
not
like
that
an Ezreal Q.
Makes me very angry to talk about this specific situation that never happens in solo queue. But if that situation were to happen and then the jungler were to smite early because his team turned away, it's a team's fault, not his.
Okay.
In that situation.
Also, in defense of Mike Young, an Ezreal Q is very, very difficult to like see when you're taking the bear.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're not gonna like. I'm sure that he was aware that it was going on, but like, it's just hard to like. You're trying to take the bear, and you're trying to make sure the enemy team doesn't take the bear. Like that's just some of the most stressful situations in the game. So,
but again, someone could just body block the Ezreal Q. Like no one on their team had smite.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, overall, Clutch, Febiven. Clutch got lucky. Febiven looked great. Let's hope that they can continue. Let's hope that they can continue to look good.
But anybody who wants to take down Clutch, draft a better comp than Optic. Because Optic didn't have the damage to dive onto Febiven and kill him. Like, they dove Febiven 3 or 4 times in the late game, but they didn't have the damage to kill him. Mm-hmm. So Febiven was able to just kind of outplay them long enough to DPS and kill them.
Like Optic won that game up until like the last 15 minutes. Like Optic won that game. There were 2 team fights where they lost, and then they lost the game.
You could
like
say they were winning until they lost.
Damn. What? This boy. He's crazy. This boy. All right. Well, let's after that nonsense, we're gonna move on to the next topic. All right. So last week, on the top of Reddit, the League of Legends subreddit, it may have even hit the front page of Reddit. I don't know. There was a video of a high elo top lane player that I'm fairly certain has hit Challenger every single season, or at least for the past few seasons, named Hishinshin.
Oh, God.
Who was just like, he just was like going crazy. He was streaming, and someone clipped part of his stream where he was just like pissed off, like yelling at the screen, talking about how he couldn't do anything as Jax, and how top lane was like in the garbage. And following this was a lot of discussion by other top laners, some of them saying that Hishinshin was right, top lane is in a horrible spot, and then other ones, specifically I remember one named Olorum, who I'm pretty sure is like a Challenger Academy player, top laner, or was previously, saying that he actually enjoys the top lane meta right now, and says that it's perfectly fine. Note, this is talking about the top lane meta in solo queue, not competitive play. And also, Hishinshin was on Beyond the Rift with Skara and AmiCutiePie, where he got to fully flesh out his ideas over the longest Beyond the Rift episode that there's ever been. It was 2 hours long. It was 2 hours and 5 minutes. Super duper long episode for Beyond the Rift. But as crazy as this dude is, he actually has some pretty good things to say about top lane and the meta in general. So Ken, do you want to take some of the stuff that he said? I'm trying to remember everything, but if you listened to it more recently, so talk about it.
2 specific things. Because one is also an issue I have in the jungle, and then the other is something I think he's completely right about, and it impacts all the other lanes. So number 1 is the cost of items. He was talking about how pretty much every top laner right now builds something like Titanic, Sterex, and Trinity Force. Not in that order.
Or instead of Trinity Force, would build Black
Right.
Clover.
Which is more expensive than a 3-item core ADC build.
On an AD carry. Yeah, I remember this now. Yeah.
And that's a huge problem. Because
I agree.
if all the lanes progress evenly, the last person you want to get all their power through their items is the ADC. Like, that's the theory behind playing ADC, is that you're going to wait a while and you're going to get gold and be the most impactful player in the late game. That's what an ADC does.
Is that entirely true?
Well, it depends on the comp, but
For the most part.
I mean, just if you're speaking that is the intention of an AD carry in general,
yes.
then I think you're wrong.
Okay.
I mean, what about Ezreal? What about Ashe?
They're
or,
still
you know,
doing
Kalista.
the most
They're still doing-
DPS.
Yeah.
They're still doing the most damage, but those are seen as more of like mid game carries.
Yeah, because
Not
every
late game
champ
carry.
has strengths and weaknesses. But overall, the ADC role
Yeah.
is going to have all the gold and impact in terms of DPS, damage to objectives. Like, conceptually, the role is that
That's
way.
what the role is.
Each individual
supposed to
champ
be.
may not be
Okay.
that way.
Okay.
But yeah. So the cost of items is a problem. And that's also something I experience in the jungle. I play a lot of J4. I don't like sitting on pieces of items when I'm 2-0-2 and the enemy ADC is also 2-0-2. But he's at 2.5 items and I'm at 1.5 items, and one of those items is my jungle item. Like, that's a problem for me. That, like, I've been relatively just as impactful on the team in my score and in my farming and in my presence on the map, and but he has more gold efficiency than I do. And he's supposed to be the scaling guy, whereas I'm supposed to, like, hit my peak and ride it out, letting my equivalent of an ADC keep scaling. So I don't like that.
Okay, well, part of his argument is that junglers actually
That's my second thing.
get too much gold,
No.
are too strong. He actually mentions
I wasn't going to talk about that.
jungle and support. Wait, what?
I was going to say something else about the jungle that he said. That the jungle ganks top too much. Like, the jungle's always in the top
Yeah.
lane. Because he's right. The jungler, I mean, 7, 8, 9 times out of 10, no less than 10, probably no more than 9, will gank top first. And then maybe repeat top before they go to another lane.
I think a lot of that has to do with just early pathing.
Right.
Like, everybody usually starts
Right.
the bottom side because you get the better leash there.
Get the better leash. It's pretty much depending on who you're playing.
Yeah.
But most junglers, it's more efficient to go red, wolves, blue, or blue, wolves, red, depending on which side you're on.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that is the underlying problem of why top gets the most attention. But that also means mid and bot aren't getting the attention. So that's why I say it impacts the rest of the map, that all this attention goes top and nobody else is getting the benefits.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not typically efficient to path anywhere but to the top lane. And that just wrecks I don't know, kind of the
Well, he also
theory behind the
mentioned
jungle.
that he also mentioned that because jungle camps spawn so infrequently, that it causes a situation where you just gank more instead of farming
Yes,
more. Do you agree with that?
absolutely.
You agree with that? Do you think that's a bad thing, though? I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing.
So it wouldn't be a bad thing if those paths led you to make your choices. The paths are designed to work your way to the top lane, pretty much. Because think about where the blast cones are. All right? If you work your way down, if you're on red side, and you work your way down to the bot lane, you're ganking from your own side against a support and an ADC. Whereas,
so you just
whereas if you gank up on blue side towards your top lane, you're just ganking against a top lane.
Yeah.
So there's less.
You're just saying
field.
I think it's just easier to gank the top lane. There's just easier routes.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
You know what I mean?
Like,
and usually the support has warded everything. If you try to gank the bottom lane, usually the mid laner has warded at least one side, so it's kind of a 50-50. Yeah, no, I agree with that. I actually think it's probably a lot easier to gank top lane than it is to gank any other lane.
The camp's not spawning and making a more gank heavy meta, that's great if you can choose to gank the bot or the mid or the top. But when there are so many reasons to go top as opposed to mid and bot, it's not good.
Yeah. But a large part of his argument, though, was he was saying that it used to be that the top lane was kind of like a third carry role, in a way. Not in the sense of like you were playing carry champions, but you had as much gold as the mid laner and the jungler, in comparison to the amount of gold that, or the mid laner and the AD carry, in comparison to the amount of gold that the jungler and the support had. And he feels like that's a really, really big problem, that the jungler and the support, he actually says that the supports are incredibly overpowered with how much gold that they get. And he thinks that junglers also get too much gold through the camps, and that top lane has kind of been left behind because all of the items are so expensive.
I disagree with that.
Yeah,
So you don't.
I agree that top lane items are too expensive, and top laners aren't getting enough gold to buy them. I don't agree that junglers get too much gold off of camps because of the fact that camps don't spawn enough. Because if there was so much gold in the jungle off of camps, you'd see nothing but Yi, Jax, and Tryndamere jungle. Like, that's just what happens when there's too much gold in the jungle. Those champs take over. Otherwise, I would have to agree. But since those junglers are only really a presence in low elo, I don't see it.
and also,
I don't know about supports,
I disagree with supports having too much items or too much gold, because their gold is so dependent on how their ADC is performing. Because the only way that they really get gold are off the gold generation items.
That's very true.
And off of assists and kills. Like, they don't have CS or a jungle to farm. And like,
but he would argue that the gold generation items they give too much gold. That is his argument.
But I know, and I'm saying I think that's wrong. Like, if that were the case, you would be seeing more mage supports
like
Brand and Zyra in the bot lane instead of Braum, Alistar, Janna, right? Because like you have money to do damage and blow up the other team, and you don't need a damage dealing top laner.
Right.
So,
I don't see that, but I do see the argument that top lane items cost too much, and there's not enough gold to get those items.
Yeah.
I do.
Another thing that like I'm a Cutie Pie and Scarlet and his Shinshin all agreed upon was that top lane seems to be like the most useless role. We talked about this like a couple weeks ago, and my opinion was that top lane was the most useless role, like in competitive as well as in like solo queue. So have your guys' like thoughts changed after like hearing about this video and hearing about all of this discussion around this, or would you still agree that I think Carl, you said that support was the most useless, and then Ken, you said the jungle. I'm pretty sure.
I stand by
you
jungle.
Still stand by jungle,
but I now think top lane is the second most useless in solo queue. In competitive, I think all lanes are useful. And the jungle is in
and he cops out.
I think both both competitive and solo, mid is the most impactful role. I still think that. But I think in solo queue, jungle's least impactful. But in competitive, the jungle almost means nothing. Like, it's so...
Yeah. Unless you
useless.
miss your smite.
Unless you miss your smite.
And then the other team says real Q, that's impactful.
But anyway, I think the top lane needs some work.
I agree that the top lane needs some work, but I also think that the mid lane might need more work. Not because it's an unimpactful role, but because there isn't much diversity in that role right now.
Mm-hmm.
At least with the top lane, you have like kind of more champions.
You got like 6 or 7 champs.
But in the mid lane, you have 4.
Yeah.
You have Zoe, Ryze,
Azir.
Okay, you have 3
That's pretty
champs.
much it.
Victors?
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Unless they're banned. You really only have those 3 champs.
Malzahar. You still got Malzahar.
I don't think they played him at all
Not
this past
competitive.
weekend.
But yeah, I'm talking competitive.
Oh, you're talking competitive. Okay.
Yeah. That's what I was saying.
Yeah, you got 3.
So
it was Soul. A Soul.
One game of Aurelion Soul if you're Huhi, and one game of Syndra if you're Bjergsen.
And PoE.
You played Syndra?
That's their other win.
He played it last week, I'm sure.
Okay. Yeah, so I really hope these AP item changes that they have come through. I hope those really help the mid lane, and it might help the top lane too, because you might have someone, an AP top laner like Rumble,
hopefully, because we got Vladimir.
Yeah.
And that champion is
that champ.
So, yeah.
I mean, maybe
one...
they'll buff Swain, and you get the
Swain looks awesome.
He is.
I actually think Swain could also be cancer.
He looks awesome, but from what I've been reading on Twitter and Reddit, he's really underpowered.
If we know anything about Riot, I'm sure that they'll buff him until he's overpowered.
And then people will buy the Dragon Master Swain skin that they have coming out, which looks fucking amazing.
Yeah. All right. One last question about the top lane. I was thinking about this earlier. What does your ideal top laner look like? Like, what is your ideal class for top lane? What do you think?
Shen.
Just all
Shen
top laners should
Shen.
only play Shen.
We're good.
Shen versus Shen. Okay.
Now Shen versus Maokai.
So you like when the top lane is a purely tank?
I like the tank / tank bruiser meta. Like the way it was last year, you'd see Gnar, J4, Maokai, Shen. Like, those are the top laners I like. With some Fiora and Rumble sprinkled in. Like, that's it. And Aurelia.
Carl?
I like Aurelia.
Carl, what do you think?
I personally like a top lane meta. Are we talking competitive or are we talking solo queue?
Both.
Both? Okay. Well,
This is more of a question on just like what should the top lane be expected? Like, does that make sense? Like what is the top lane philosophically? Do we think that it should? What type of champion should be
I
there?
feel like the top lane should be the most diverse. I think it should be the role where our team is missing this. Let's put this in the top lane. So like, if you have a tanky jungler and like a semi-tanky mid laner. I know you don't like to play tanky junglers.
I like J4 and Sedge.
Okay. Yeah. So like, if you have a tanky jungler and like a tanky like Galio in the mid lane, right? You're gonna need to supplement that damage somewhere else. So, like, have a more damage dealing top laner. If you have Glass Cannon mid laner and like Lee Sin in the jungle, you would want a tankier jungler or top laner. And so like, I feel like when top lane is at its best, when you don't have just one class of champions that needs to go in the top lane, but it can be the role that covers the weaknesses of the rest of your team.
Yeah, I like that. I personally think that the top lane should default to kind of like the bruiser thing. I think that the best examples of this, I think, would be something like Gnar and Camille. I think those are very, very healthy top lane champions because they usually build like one or two items that do damage but also give utility health in a way. Like, Camille builds Triforce and then Titanic Hydra. Titanic Hydra is like a half tank item in a way. You have like a little bit of damage in it, but it's very minimal.
It's a bruiser item.
It's a bruiser.
Yeah, exactly. It's a bruiser item. And Gnar does the same thing. And then I think you're right, though, that I think that if, for example, you had a situation where you had like a Galio mid, you had a Sejuani jungle, you had a Braum support, and you didn't need to fill that tank role anymore, you could play Fiora, or you could play Jax.
And even those champions, like in the game,
or GP,
or cannot Gangplank, but like Fiora and Jax, or even like Riven, maybe you could build them more tanky, right? Like, there's variations in your build that you can do to have them be, more tanky.
Yeah, but I think I personally just like the idea of top lane in a balancing standpoint in the way that Riot decides to balance the game. The bruiser class should kind of be like the default top laner. Does that make sense? That's the way that they should balance it. And they should have tanks be very, very playable in that role as well. I'm not saying they shouldn't. They should be, because that's the best place for tanks to be, unless they're jungling, which I like tank jungler.
Hey, there are some
looking
great
at you,
tank
Kenny.
junglers. Sejuani,
But
J4, Olaf. I think I got to the end of the list.
New.
Rek'Sai.
all right.
Rek'Sai.
Well,
Back when she was a tank.
Yeah, I haven't seen any
Yeah.
Why they changed
Rek'Sai.
that?
Yeah,
Rest
I
in
wish
peace,
Rek'Sai
dude.
was
Old
still.
Rek'Sai was so much fun.
I really liked watching
Me
Rek'Sai.
too. Like those Flash
I really like
Umbrellas,
watching
those are fun to watch.
They were so much fun to execute.
Gragas? Let's bring Gragas.
Grag Daddy.
That's a great. I love the Grag Daddy.
Yeah,
Gragas.
I want AP Gragas back in the meta where he could QR
One shot people.
One shot
You want to go
people.
back to season 3, Carl?
Yes.
Back to season 3?
Let's
like the
do
utility.
that.
I do miss the.
All right, let's.
The body slam flash ult that you could execute in like half a second. I liked that a lot.
yeah.
That was a lot of fun. Just come in, boom, there, your whole team's gone.
All right, let's move on to our power
Hell
rankings
yeah.
for
This is gonna be
week
fun.
5. Oh, did we not write them down for week 4? Apparently, we didn't write them down.
Go,
for week
go
4.
watch the DSoG vlog.
Rest in peace,
I thought
dude.
we did.
Rest
If
in
anybody
peace.
was wondering what we did last week, go
Watch the
watch
previous
DSoG
episode.
vlog.
Yeah, we're gonna remind everybody later in this episode. But all right, let's go through our power rankings.
No, this is after week
we don't have to write them down.
4. So
Oh,
yeah,
wait,
that's after
we wrote
week
down
3.
week 4.
This is after week 4, so we're good.
Okay. I was.
Yeah, that was
confused.
when we ranked
All right.
DSoG above
You're
Golden
right.
Guardians.
You're right.
That was last
Yeah,
week.
we can't do that anymore, guys.
They
They
won a
actually
game.
won a game, so
They-
we couldn't
hey,
beat CLG.
They've won more games than DSoG. Last week, that statement wasn't true.
You're not wrong.
What is also true is that DSoG has never lost a world
That's a
championship,
fact.
So
DSoG has
That's a fact,
never
dude.
lost.
we
a
have
world
lost. We have won every world championship that we have ever been
Well,
to.
we've not lost any of them. I don't know about winning.
We've
We
never
have no
lost.
wins, but we've never lost.
Never lost
So.
a world championship.
All right.
I mean, I
All
don't
right,
know.
How's this work? Do I go first? Is that how this works?
Yeah, Ken, go
Okay.
first.
Can you bring
Ken,
up
go
the
first.
the teams?
Sorry, I'm having a dog push me.
Yeah, I know.
You gonna write it in, Carl?
right in.
You got it.
All
You
right.
got it. Charlie, I love you, but you're gonna have to give me some space.
He just wants some loving, dude.
All right,
I'm gonna
just
go Team
ahead.
Liquid. No, C9 won.
C9.
Good choice, boy. Good choice.
Now we're doing how we expect them to finish at the end of the split.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So C9, Fox, TL.
Okay.
This is not playoffs. This
No,
is
This is just
right.
how you expect them to finish at the end of the split. At the end of the regular season, not including playoffs.
Right. I'm going clutch.
Ooh,
Yeah.
bold.
TSM.
Bold.
Fly.
Ooh, so you don't see CLG making playoffs?
No. Not if they keep playing like they did this weekend.
Oh,
Boy, we gonna fight.
damn.
We gonna fight, Ken.
All right.
You asking to throw hands.
Um,
You asking to fight. You
CLG.
didn't say 100 Thieves yet.
No.
What the hell?
Who'd you say?
CLG.
CLG.
100.
You think FlyQuest is better than 100 Thieves?
This is
100.
where I expect them to finish based off of this past week's play.
Okay, fair enough.
Optic.
And then GG.
GG.
Nah, dude, DSoG's a
Dude.
thing.
No, we're not making that joke.
DSoG.
again.
If you think we can win a game, I'll rank us above Golden Guardians.
Bruh,
Alright.
I bet you Ezekiel could probably put it to Lorlo. I'm just saying.
All right, Brooks, you go ahead.
I'm just kidding. All right, I'll put C9. Oh wow, I went all the way up to the top.
I
of
got
the
you.
list.
I'm writing it.
I want C9 at number 1. Fox at number 2. TL number 3. TSM.
Ooh.
CLG. 100.
I think this week is gonna be like the one week where everybody's just like different.
100.
Yeah. Clutch.
You putting 100 above clutch?
Yeah,
Damn,
dude. 100.
son.
These are my boys, dude. They're my boys. Actually, I think 100 Thieves is above CLG, but it does. I'll fix that later. What am I on? Fly, Optic, Golden Guardians.
Okay, so I'm just gonna fill in. So we have the same for.
The first 3. In the document, he tried to move C9 over and it went
it just
C9.
said
Oh, my bad.
C10.
My bad.
No, you good. It's not you.
Yeah, that's actually.
That actually is really
All right, so yeah, we're all in agreement that C9, Fox, TL. Those are the top 3 right now.
Yeah, they.
Easy.
Oh, I'm gonna put. Oh God, I really want to say TSM, but I know it's not TSM, and that just breaks my heart.
You can't, dude. It's hard, man. They're so hard to predict.
The
You
next-
never know when they're just gonna shit the
TSM. No,
bed,
I'm doing
dude.
it. Fuck it. TSM.
Oh my god. I did the same thing, so I
I'm gonna go
guess I
TSM.
Shouldn't hate.
100.
Wow.
Hell yeah, dude.
Clutch.
My boys. 100 Thieves.
100.
CLG.
100.
You have CLG not making playoffs.
I know. Fly. and then Optic and GG.
I think Carl and I both given CLG a lot of props that they probably don't deserve. But you know what?
I agree.
We ranked them in the same. We both said
Actually, you
seven.
guys got them the same.
You
I
have
have
six.
CLG giving. I have CLG getting a lot of
That
props that I
five
don't think
that
they deserve.
that 6 and 7 makes me real nervous.
Yeah, dude, it's tough.
4
man,
through
it's tough.
8 is pretty hard to decide.
Way up in the air,
Yeah,
dude.
that's
way up in the air.
That's the kicker.
Because there are moments when FlyQuest looks really good.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
That's why.
There a lot of times when I watch FlyQuest, it's just like insanity is just happening on the map, but I don't really know what
They
to say.
look
But like, there are other times when I'm just like, this team's pretty good. Like, you know, like
Who did they play?
I don't know.
Was it C9? And I was like, even because FlyQuest was like, it was like a back and forth,
Mhm.
and C9 like took control, and I was like, even if C9 closes this out, Fly played really, really well.
Yeah, I
Because
don't
C9's way above Fly.
I don't
way
think
better.
FlyQuest has looked terrible in any of their games, except for maybe they're not the team that beat Echo Fox. Didn't they get stomped by Echo Fox?
No, they
No.
didn't beat Echo Fox. They beat TSM
Yeah.
first week.
How was their game against?
The first week or second
Did they
week?
get stomped by Team Liquid?
I don't remember, man.
Okay. I just don't think. Yeah, I just don't think
I know. Optic beat 'em.
FlyQuest. Yeah, I don't think
played
FlyQuest
them
has
too.
looked terrible in any of their games.
That's why I have them making playoffs.
Yeah.
I don't think they're gonna win playoffs, but why?
Why? Yeah. What?
For those of
What are
you
you talking about?
watching, in the Discord, our lovely host Brooks just typed "slapping pussy" for
What? Dude,
No reason.
this is a children's show, man. This is a family-friendly show.
What children are
here,
watching
dude.
this?
This
Oh
is
my
family
God.
friendly. This is. Oh my God, Ken! I can't believe.
I can't
it.
believe you said the P word.
We're gonna have to find a new co-host, dude. That was unbelievable. Oh my God.
All right, let's
All
watch
right,
some league
I'm
this
just kidding.
weekend. We're gonna
Wait,
see
we
some
still-
stuff.
we got
happen.
no, we got
predictions.
we got predictions.
we got
You
predictions.
got
We got
predictions. You're
predictions.
moving too
Oh, this
fast.
is so much fun. This is the part where I pick the underdogs and you guys disagree with me.
All right. We got first game of the
All right.
weekend. This is gonna be a good one. I'm excited for Saturday. This looks phenomenal. Schedule right here. We got TL versus CLG. First game of the weekend. Who we got?
I got Liquid.
I got CLG. I have faith in my boys. They win when it matters and they lose when it does. So
He's
He's got
right.
a point. He's got a point.
He's right.
they win when it matters and they lose when it doesn't. All right. Next up, we got Hunted
Hunted.
Thieves versus Echo Fox.
Some
Who
days
we got?
top laner for 100.
Yes.
Yeah, I give to 100.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
what we
I give it
got.
a
I'm
100.
giving this to 100 Thieves.
100.
It's tough for me because they played like ass this past
They'll
weekend.
get it
but
back.
I'm
Probably's
also.
gonna
go
take out
0-2.
that whip.
Oh my God, dude! Probably is gonna kill someone. Actually, Probably's not gonna feed him. Actually, I heard is what's
Wow.
gonna happen. He's not gonna feed him for a week.
That is abuse.
But yeah, I think 100 Thieves win this one because Echo Fox are the villains of NALCS, and 100 Thieves are everyone likes them, so they're gonna win. Next up, we got Cloud9 versus TSM. El Clasico, you could say. Who's gonna win this one?
Ooh.
El Clasico,
Man.
maybe. I guess El Clasico could be TSM versus CLG.
Nah, dude.
but
This is
like
the
This
real.
is
this
the
is
real.
V2.
No,
This is El Clasico version 2.
no. CLG versus TSM is El Clasico, but C9 versus TSM is Nuevo El Clasico.
It's the one. I'm more excited.
All right, well, who's winning? Who's winning?
Oh,
First
Cloud9.
question.
Cloud9. Like,
for
there's
sure.
no way.
I feel like it's-
As the TSM fan on
Yeah.
this, there's no chance in hell TSM is winning this game.
I think so.
Yeah.
What?
I think TSM wins this game.
What?
I actually think TSM could win
I think
too.
TSM wins this
TSM is
game.
another
No.
one of those teams that shows up when it matters
think-
and loses
I
when
think
it doesn't.
TSM could win this game. I just don't think if I had to put money on it, I would not bet TSM to win this game.
Fair enough.
Y'all forgetting. Song beats Reaper.
Does he?
Yes.
Does he?
Yes.
I don't know, man. TSM looks. C9 looks really good,
Song
dude.
beats Reaper. Reaper.
I'm saying
Reaper
TSM too,
beats Parth.
but
Parth beats Song. Song beats Reaper.
So
It's
then
just
what
it's
is
rock
what
paper
is-
scissors.
what is the
Scissors.
love child of Parth and Song gonna be then?
Well, we don't know. We had to add Europeans
Pong.
to the mix. We'll
name-
find out.
His name's Pong. Or Sarth. Pong.
Pong.
All right, we're moving on. We got FlyQuest versus Clutch.
This is gonna be a good game.
Should be a good
I think
game.
this. If TSM versus Cloud9 wasn't happening, I think this would be the game to watch.
Mm-hmm.
On Saturday.
I give it to Clutch
Same. I get to
because
Clutch. I think they're just overall better.
I'm just. Gonna,
Febiven beats Fly, and that's how they're gonna play through it.
I agree with you, but I want to give this to FlyQuest just because I want Wild Turtle to win. I love Wild Turtle.
Everybody loves
Everyone loves some Wild Turtle. Dude, if Lyra's on point, he could style on Onda. But we gotta see.
Honda's a good jungle.
It's a big question. He is. All right, next up. Last game on Saturday,
Optic.
we got Optic versus Golden Guardians. Who wins
Optic.
this one? In the immortal words of Kenneth Newberger,
Optic.
the person that turns the stream off wins
That's
this
true.
game.
That's true. But I'm not
No.
skimping on Optic though.
Yeah, you like
I
Optic.
him. Well, I like Acadian.
I like Optic
and
too.
like
I think they're
Hex.
gonna win.
I think Golden Guardians is gonna win this game.
I could see it.
I'm giving this one to GG.
High. Jeez. High could come up with some weird stuff and beat Optic.
For
or
sure.
Acadian, PoE, and Arrow could say we're some of the best players in the league and we're in charge, which is what I think is going to happen.
I think you're right, but I'm gonna give this to Golden Guardians. Like, I mean, that's how upsets work, right? Like, you can't really say how they're gonna happen.
Yeah.
But they do.
No, they
So.
All right, let's move into Sunday, and we have Clutch versus TSM. Why are we hesitant?
Clutch.
Why do we not
I'm
know?
not hesitant. Clutch.
You think
Yeah.
Clutch? Carl? Clutch or TSM?
TSM.
I don't think TSM is going to lose to Clutch 2 weekends in a row, so I'm going to say TSM.
My boy.
But it's going to be a close one, I
It'll be
actually
a good
think.
game.
All right, next up. This is a tough one, boys. This is a tough one. You gotta spend some time
Okay.
thinking about this one. TL, Golden
TL.
Guardians.
I spent as long as I could thinking about it. I really did. I spent as long as possible. TL.
I'm gonna say TL too. What's your word, Carl?
TL.
What's your word?
Double
Were you trying to find some like troll meme
yes.
way to
I
say
couldn't
Golden
do
Guardians?
it. I couldn't do it.
But you're like, no.
I think this is just gonna be a GG, and TL's gonna win.
Why you gotta say GG then TL's gonna win? That's
No,
what? This Golden
No,
Guardians.
TL's gonna
and
walk
TL's
up and be like GG
Confusing.
squared and just walk off.
Yeah, I think TL.
I gotta go.
We got 3 more, man.
All right.
I think TL.
I know.
I
All
think
right,
TL could play like
Just turn your stream off.
their mouse on their left. If they're right-handed, mouse in the left hand, right hand on the
Oh.
keyboard.
It's gonna be
And
a
they would
group
still
effort.
win.
TLA and
Easy
TL
peasy.
working together.
Yeah.
Yeah, just turn your stream off.
All right.
Don't watch this game.
Yeah. Turn the stream. Next game we
This
got
is gonna be a
Echo
good
Fox
game. Rematch.
with Cloud9.
Number
Yeah,
ones.
I'm pretty excited about this one. Yeah. This could be a
Cloud9
really good one.
Box.
Cloud9. Do you want to put some money on
I
this?
think Cloud9 wins too.
Yeah.
Let's put some money on
Yeah.
Echo Fox versus Cloud9.
Yeah, I'll bet you $10 Fox wins.
Y'all go ahead.
No, I was
I'm
just saying.
poor.
Oh no,
Y'all go ahead.
Skin.
No,
Yeah.
no. I was just saying whoever wins the bet, the other person has to buy alcohol for the next stream.
Okay, that works.
Fair enough. I'm glad I don't live in the same state as you guys.
Ah, you're not getting our alcohol.
Gotcha. Yeah, I gotta buy my own. All right. I think C9 wins. That was 2 C9s and 1 Echo Fox. Just to note. All right. Next game, we got Hunted Thieves versus CLG. It hurts me. I don't like watching my babies fight each other. It
This is
hurts
gonna be a
me.
good game.
This is 100 Thieves.
But I think
this is
I think
100.
100 Thieves wins.
CLG.
100.
I say
100
CLG.
Nation.
I say CLG.
CLG can.
Mm-mm.
All right. Final game of the weekend. Possible barn burner. Possible game where you'd rather turn the stream off. Black West
These are
versus
2
Optic.
fun teams to
Yeah,
watch.
no, I think this is gonna be. I don't think this is gonna be the best macro best play ever, but I think this is gonna be a fun game to watch.
It's so much
I mean,
fun.
Golden Guardians aren't playing in this game, so you can't call it a bad game to watch.
Yeah. They're all good games.
Jesus
except
Christ.
Golden Guardians.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So,
He's just throwing that shit. Throwing it
Have you
across
seen
the
Golden
room.
Guardians play League of Legends? It's not shade.
I have. It's bad, dude. It's bad. They beat my favorite team. I have to respect them a little
Alright.
Yeah, they beat.
Yeah, I'm giving
enough.
this one to Fly.
bit. Yeah. Did I
Optic
actually
won
say?
last
Yeah,
time.
I think Optic
I
wins.
think Optic wins too.
I think Optic wins. Yeah. All right. Well, that was it. Thank you for tuning into the DSoG vlog episode 5. If you've been following our videos previously, if you have not, please go back, watch our other 4 episodes, and we also have an episode where we talked about the recent CSGO major that I guess was like 2 weeks ago now. That was a while ago. And we'll be coming out with more content as other esports do some things. Dota has a couple tournaments coming up that I might hop onto a video and talk about with a couple people. And, you know, there's always stuff going on. There's always stuff to consume from the DSoG vlog, so consume it all. Be a part of the revolution.
Reach out to us.
Reach out to us,
Just
please.
Slide
We're all
into
on
our
Twitter.
DMs. We're here.
All on
Should
Twitter.
we put our Twitters and stuff on the description?
Oh yeah,
We'll put it.
Let's
We'll
do
put
it.
it in the show
Twitters.
notes. The
Down.
show notes at the bottom of the YouTube video.
Put them down
And
there.
timestamp.
Also, we could potentially put timestamps if that is something that people
Let's
want.
do that.
I'll have to learn how to do that. I don't know how to do that, but I'll figure it out.
Sounds good.
And thank you for tuning in. Join the revolution. We're in the Dirty South Golden Age. Hit that dab.
I'm not doing that.
Signing off, fam. Thank you for paying attention. Thank you for watching. Peace.
Jesus.